Hello and welcome to Business Today's Most Powerful Women Awards. And I am joined by Nandita Das. And I'm really happy to see that, there was a time when we used to introduce you as female filmmakers, and we've come a long way from that. And talking about women entrepreneurship and power and all of that, what do these words really mean? And, in real life?
Well, in real life, when you're directing, you're just directing. You're not constantly aware of the fact, or you're not bringing your woman self, at least not consciously. But I think if we want more women directors, which we surely want, and there are now more women directors than there were when I did Firaaq in 2008, I think we have to own these tags. It doesn't matter. If I don't own myself as a woman director, how can I want more women directors? And we definitely, like diversity, inclusion, these have all become catchwords. But what do they really mean? I think it's very important that we value diversity, because diversity is a moral right, and it's a business. It's a good thing to have different perspectives. Anybody would tell you to have different perspectives makes the outcome so much more layered and nuanced and so good. So I think this is a good time for all of us to be talking about all this. It's already too late. We are 50% of the world population. We are not talking about some minority, and even if it's a minority, we should be fighting for every person's right, but more so as we hold up half the sky, as they say.
From Firaaq to Zwigato now, how much has changed in terms of women in more technical roles, women in more, behind the camera, on the camera? What is the concrete on ground change like?
There's definitely a change. I mean, I think there are many more cinematographers, there are more editors, there are more directors. But I think the real visible change you will probably see in another 10 years, because I see a lot of young women who are now assistants, who are now going to film schools. I think in 10 years, they will be in significant roles. They'll be decision makers, they'll be heads of departments. So that change you will see. But for instance, in Zwigato, there was a woman focus puller. I've acted in 40 films and I've done 3 directorial films. I had never had a woman, I've never seen a woman focus puller. Now, why not? It's not like it's not some heavy lifting, even that there are enough women doing it better than sometimes men. So you sort of wonder, why are so many of these professions just sort of closed for women? So I was very happy to see a sound engineer that you seldom see as a woman. So I always seek out women. It's always tougher because there are more choices in men, but I've always had HODs, at least 3 HODs who are women, and it was the same in Firaaq and Manto and Zwigato.
Wow. There's also, I was really curious to know that, nowadays we have this mandate sort of a thing that in writers' room you should have one woman just to get a perspective. But sometimes it's only just like an eye wash.
Lip
It's
service.
just, yeah, for the lip service. How much does it really help getting that mandate out, and should that be promoted at all?
I think so. I mean, we always are resistant to the idea of like a reservation. But this is not a reservation, it's affirmative action. When there has been such a historical wrong for so long, to correct it, you have to seek out more. You have to have, like, for instance, in Hollywood, there are big stars who insist that there should be a greater diversity or a greater representation of those who are underrepresented. And I think that is shifting things. But here, I think it's a little more of lip service, to be honest. But I think sometimes that pressure is good. Sometimes when you're forced to create that diversity, then you look deeper and wider, and maybe that will make a difference.
And how has the language of content changed over the years with cinema, theater, and now OTT? I
Right.
just wanted to understand, like, has it something to do with more talent, more female talent coming up, and will it sort of open the taps for more of the diversity coming up?
I think there is such a need for content today because there are just so many channels, so many web series. So everyone's wanting content. When you want a lot, then you're a little more open. You just, by the sheer nature of your need, that you become more inclusive, not because you want to be inclusive, but so there are definitely more people and more women who are in all kinds of roles and more powerful roles that are coming up. But in terms of narratives, if you see, even the so-called like more independent, not so mainstream, even in that there is becoming a pattern. Like there are so many films of the 80s or of the 70s or even of the 60s, or even fun films like Rishikesh Mukherjee and Basu Chatterjee and Sai Paranjpe, just normal stories of just people, like working class people. You don't see them that often. Like how many working class, protagonists have you seen in the last decade, for instance? So that there are a lot of people who are also being pushed to the margins, consciously or subconsciously, because whatever, jo bikta hai wahi dikta hai, kind of a thing.
Lastly, leave me with a ray of hope. Leave me, tell me that things are getting better.
No, things are. I mean, in our country, we are always 1 foot forward, 2 step backward, kind of a thing. So there are things that are good that are happening, and there are things that you wish would be better. But yeah, I'm always hopeful, and I'm always optimistic. I think cynicism is for the lazy, so we need to be more optimistic for sure.
Wow. On that note, thank you and more power to more electrifying women like you. So you inspire us all. Thank you.